Hello, hello everyone! I am back from my 3-week research trip to New England, and as I was unpacking everything this morning, yay, nothing broke, I kind of thought, why not give you a little sneak preview? And why not, be a little more casual this week with our video and just talk you through some of the cool stuff that I found while I was checking out craft producers in New England. I will definitely be doing a deeper dive on a lot of this stuff, whether it's a specific spirit or the producer story or something I learned while I was there. So you'll definitely be getting a deeper dive on the content. But before I put all of this away and figured out where the heck I'm going to put it in my place, I thought, what the heck? Let's talk about it a little bit. So first, let me give you a quick rundown of all of the places that I visited. There was, let's see. From a distillery standpoint, we'll start there. Grand 10 Distilling, Bully Boy Distillers, Boston Harbor Distillery. Those are all in Boston. Then we have Mad River Distillers up in Burlington, Vermont, and Vermont Distillers as well, which is also in Burlington. Then from a beer standpoint, we have OEC in Oxford, Connecticut, and right down the street from them, also Black Hog Brewing Company. We also have Springdale and Jack's Abbey, which are in Framingham, Massachusetts. New England Brewing Company is in Connecticut, and then Aeronaut up in Boston, Foam Brewers in Burlington, Vermont. I have something from Bissell Brothers here in Maine, and then Treehouse in Massachusetts as well. And if you follow craft beer at all, I'm sure you've heard of Treehouse and quite a few of these others. And then from a cider perspective, we have Bantam in Massachusetts, and then Citizen Cider and Shaftesbury Cider, both up in Vermont. So that's kind of the array of producers that you see behind me, but let me tell you a little bit about some of the cool stuff that I brought back. And I'm not going to go over every single one because that will be the whole day's worth of information. And like I said, I am going to go deeper on a lot of these things, but let me just share with you a couple of the fun things that I brought back. So first things first, Fire Puncher Black. It is a flavored vodka. It's from Grand 10 Distilling. And to be perfectly honest, when they first brought this out, or I first read the description, which says chocolate and pepper flavored vodka, I was a little bit like, I'm not in college anymore. Like, what is this, right? Like, what are we getting ourselves into here? But when I tasted it, like, it is like Mexican hot chocolate in a vodka, which again, probably sounds a little weird and you're like, wait, what? But I'm telling you, when I took a sip of this, I was like, I have to have this. Like, and so I'm really excited to start experimenting with cocktails and figuring out kind of what I'm going to do there. Let's stay over here. Let me tell you a little bit about OEC brewing here. And so this is their flagship, Tempest. And then this is a really fun thing that I brought back. It is their sour beer, one of their sour beers that they blend with an unfiltered sake. And so I know it sounds super weird, but it is so freaking good. And I cannot wait to open this and try it again and tell you all about it when I do. So OEC has an amazing, amazing story, and I will definitely be going deeper there, but they are all into sour and wild beers, and the things they are doing, the kind of innovations by, funnily enough, going back to history in terms of brewing and different ways to brew beers is just a really amazing story. Then, let's see, what else do I want to show you? So we have Shaftesbury cider up in Vermont that I mentioned. And so they are doing something really cool called the Lost Apple Project. And what that is basically there's all these varieties of apples that used to exist in America, and a lot of them have been lost. When they were ripped up during Prohibition and they didn't know what else to do with cider apple trees, a lot of them never came back. But there are here and there, one tree here, one tree there. And so they're essentially foraging for wild apples. And then they're making ciders out of them. This Lost and Found is kind of a blend of whatever they found that year and whatever they made it out of. And then when they find cider apples that they really like, they graft them into their orchard and try to bring that variety back. So a really cool, noble project there that results in a delicious cider. And I will definitely be going deeper there for you. Back to beer. So New England Brewing Company, for those of you who are craft beer aficionados, maybe you have heard of Fuzzy Baby Ducks. This is kind of one of their flagship beers. And you know, New England Brewing Company was one of the kind of the OGs of New England brewing, and they also were one of the pioneers with canning. So if you all remember years and years ago, if a beer was in a can, you kind of thought it was a shit beer, right? But now, I mean, look at all these amazing craft beers in cans. Well, someone had to take a leap and kind of start that first and take the risk to get out of bottles and go into cans. And New England Brewing Company was one of those breweries, particularly in New England. They were one of the very first to do that. And so they kind of led the way, and we have them to thank for that, because let's be honest, when you go check out new breweries and you go check out new beers, part of the fun is like, let me see the can. What's the can art on it, right? And if we weren't in cans, we wouldn't be able to have that. So they are a really cool story. And even more fun is, you know, why did they name it Fuzzy Baby Ducks? Why does this can have this unicorn kind of, honestly, farting a rainbow that a duck is sliding down? And all of their beers do have the name and the can story, are super fun stories. And so I'm hoping that I can end up doing a series telling you a little bit about each beer and each can. Then we have Treehouse down here. Let me move these a little bit. So Treehouse, many of you have probably heard of. It's kind of famous or infamous, depending on, you know, your perspective. And the day that I was there, it was like 6 degrees out. The snow was blowing. It was like super frigid, that New England weather. And I mean, even like, I mean, I'm a California girl now, but even the locals were like, this is cold, right? I mean, it was bad. And there were people standing outside, 90-minute line outside to get in and get their allotment of Treehouse beer. So they have a really unique approach, and they kind of launch lots of new beers, and they only launch them on certain days, and they pretty much sell out the day they launch them. And so I'm very fortunate and lucky that I was able to get my hands on some without too much effort or line waiting, and get to talk to people about why they do what they do and try some of their beers and meet the people who are making their amazing beers. So that's one there. Then back to the spirits. Let's kind of jump back over here. So this is kind of fun. This is kind of fun. It is the old fashioned. And so it's what it sounds like. It's an old fashioned in a bottle. And again, at first when they brought this out, I was a little bit like, seems a little gimmicky. Like, I don't know, old fashions are pretty easy to make, and that's part of the art of cocktail making, right? But when I tasted it, I mean, it's really delicious. And the reason it's so delicious is because they're making it right. This isn't like a flavored old fashioned or like a made up old fashioned. I mean, this is, as the spirit is aging in the barrel, they then add Angostura bitters to it, and then they add the right amount of sugar to it. And they let it continue to age in the barrel for a little while, and they make an old fashioned in the barrel. And then they bottle it for you to enjoy at home, which is nice and easy, entertaining, because you just pour this over ice, throw a few garnishes, and you are happy as a clam. So that's from Bully Boy Distillers in Boston. Boston Harbor Distillery. So Rhonda is the founder and CEO of Boston Harbor Distillery, and she was like hire number 2 for, you know, Sam Adams. So she is a legend in the craft beer scene and really helped build the Sam Adams brand to what it is today. But, you know, over time, she kind of left, and now she's doing this Boston Harbor Distillery. And they make incredible spirits. I have 1 or 2 others that I'll probably mention from them. But this line of spirits is called the Spirit of Boston. And what's really fun about this is she is taking Sam Adams beer and distilling it into whiskey. And so what's cool about this for me is I'm a New Englander, right? I've been drinking Sam Adams for as long as I can remember. And so I know what Sam Adams beer tastes like. And especially when they tell you what beer it is, you can really, like this one is from the Sam Adams Double Black Lager. And so if you know what that tastes like, which as a New Englander, I do, right? You can pick up like the actual Sam Adams beer as you're drinking this whiskey. So this is really fun, and it is really like the beer lover's whiskey. Definitely we'll go deeper and tell you some more about them. Rum. So rum, if you didn't know, has a very deep New England history. And you know, I knew that, but I didn't know how deep it was and all the specifications of it. So I learned a ton about New England style rum while I was there. And we're going to be writing a series on it and kind of going deeper on that to tell you all about it as well. But there were some really amazing rums that I tried. And what differentiates a New England style rum is that it is made from 100% blackstrap molasses. And so that's really the differentiator. And man, I mean, I've always liked rum. but I've never really been one to like sip on rum or appreciate rum on its own. And this trip has changed my mind about that completely. So now I'm really excited to kind of dive deep into rum and start exploring it more. And this from Grand Ten Distillers, this Medford rum is one great example. And then these two here from Mad River Distillers are also great examples of rums. Honestly, this PX rum is aged in sherry barrels. And this honestly almost drinks a little bit more like a whiskey. I think they even say somewhere on here, like, makes great Manhattans or something. And so this is really incredible and super fun. And then this is their maple cask aged rum. And this whole story of how this gets to be what it is just a super fun story. And honestly, when they were telling it to me, I was like, this has to be told. This is such a fun story. And it reminds me of like when I was a kid watching Mr. Rogers and seeing how crayons were made, right? Like that, I got that little bit of excitement of kind of the peek behind the curtain with the maple cask rum. So I'm excited to tell you all about that too. And then last, but certainly not least, we have some fun liqueurs. This is blueberry liqueur from Vermont Distillers. And so if you're not from New England, and you've never had a Maine blueberry, first of all, let me just say you're missing out. Maine blueberries are like no other blueberries. They are juicier. They have a deeper blueberry flavor. They are, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just whenever you eat Maine blueberries, you know you're eating Maine blueberries, even if, you know, there's no label on them and you didn't technically know. And so when I first took a sip of this, I did not know they were using Maine blueberries in this. And what I said to the woman who I was talking to as I took a sip, I was like, oh my gosh, this tastes like I'm biting into Maine blueberries. And she was like, funnily enough, that's what we use. We bring in Maine blueberries to make this blueberry liqueur. And I think she said it was something like over a quart of fresh fruit in every one of these bottles. So it is just amazing. And they also suggest like pouring it on ice cream and desserts and things, which I'm super excited to try. I also have a nice cranberry liqueur here from Grand Ten Distilling, and that's nice and tart, and I can't wait to experiment with some cocktails there. Last, we have here from Boston Harbor Distillery a maple cream, and this is so freaking good in your coffee, like so good, and such a fun bottle. But they also, when I was at the distillery, they make cocktails there, totally different than what we're allowed to do in distilleries in California, I might add, but awesome. And so they were making cocktails and they made kind of a play on a White Russian with this maple cream, and oh, so good. So I'm also really excited to experiment with that in cocktails. Woo, woo, falling beers, and tell you more about that. So before these all start falling on me, I don't know why they're falling, they're on a flat table. Maybe we have a little minor tremor here in California or something, but that's kind of the overview of my haul from my New England research trip. And I'm super excited to share the stories of these producers, tell you more about the spirits, maybe share some recipes as I kind of come up with some things. But if you're in New England, definitely make sure to go check some of these places out, and I will tell you more about them in the future. And for now, if there's any of these things that I mentioned today that you're like, oh my God, I want to learn more about that, I want to hear more about that, like I can't wait until she does a piece on that, let me know in the comments below, because I'm happy to, as I figure out what I'm going to write first and what I'm going to do videos on first, I'm happy to prioritize based on what you all want. So yeah, until then, keep drinking craft, drink local. Yay, New England! I'm back. As a quick reminder, the Crafty Cask is a scrappy little startup, but we have big ideas and plans to help all of you discover and drink amazing craft alcohol. So if you like what you see, please hit like and leave us some comments below. The more support we get, the more we'll be able to create even better content for all of you and bring our amazingly fun vision to life. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel here or our mailing list here. Thanks so much and happy craft drinking.